Hi, it's Melinda from Hope When There Was None. How are you doing today on this marvelous day? It's a little gray outside right now. We have some raindrops, some thunderclouds going through, and that's okay. We need that to bring spring. It is spring here in the States. We are so excited. So done with that negative 40 odd degrees that it was and crazy winds. I don't know if it's just this year or in past years. It seems even windier around here than usual. I have chickens, and the little chickens keep rolling by. It's kind of funny to see, but at the same time, I feel bad for them. So what I'm coming on today is to discuss your trauma story. How do you start writing your story? So I did a presentation last night about starting that process of writing. I wanted to hop in right now and discuss briefly how to begin writing. So I'm not going to go into everything I did last night, but let's start with just a few of the basics. This is a question I get so often. How do I begin to write my story? I've gone through so much, Melinda. How do I do this? How do I start this? I'm just going to tell you the easiest thing that I was told to do. Just write. Get out, and I'm going to use some props here. Spiral notebook, okay? You can get the composition notebook. You can even write on these little itty bitty things too, these little itty bitty notebooks. Sorry, it's a little, you can see that. But anyway, you can just go ahead and whatever you have handy, start writing. Perhaps you've been journaling for many years. Let's say you've been journaling for 10, 15 years, and you might have a big stack of these somewhere, of these books laying around in a dusty attic or shelf somewhere in a closet. Get them out and start reading through those. Go through those. That can be your outline. You can do this as like your diary. So start reading through those and get your information from there. Perhaps you don't want to do it in a diary format. Maybe you want to break things down in a timeline. That is a great way to start. It's even better. You have a lot of information. You're ahead of the game. So if that's how you want to start, that's amazing. Maybe you need to get interviews from family members, depending on what type of emotional healing or abuse you've had in your past. Maybe you need to talk with family members, and maybe it's generational, so it goes way back. So go ahead and gather those thoughts, get those interviews. On that, I'm going to tell you, for legal reasons, hey, Miss Tammy, please do not use, unless you have specific written legal permission, do not use the full name of whoever it is. As an example, when I first started blogging, I made sure to cover my butt, and I did not use my then husband, his full name. I made sure that I shortened it. I made sure I didn't use the last name. And I was told by my attorney at that time that that was okay, as long as I'm not using the full name. So he's not being harassed. He can't come at me for legal reasons, to sue me. That was fine. So please, though, talk with your attorney about what's going on with that. Hi, and make sure, cover yourself. You don't want any legal problems when you start this. So on that note, let's go forward a little bit more. So you've gotten your journal. Let's say you're doing this as a journal writing. You've gotten your books. You've got all this. You're going through it for your timeline to try and figure out how you want to outline your book. And that is terrific. You just keep going. What you're going to do is take chunks of that journal or whatever you're writing. You're just going to take chunks, and then you're going to start putting them into where it makes sense. For, like, let's say you had homelessness when you were a child. So then you're going to start when you were a child. Or maybe it goes way back. You have that information from your family's history. You're going to take that information. Okay, my mother, so on and so on, she experienced this, this, and this. That's great. Put that all in there, and then come with your birth and so on and so on. Do a timeline. Now, this is just, again, if this is going to be your own story, your own memoir, that's what I'm talking about today. Now, also, in addition to that, have yourself a small little sanctuary, a small place to sit into, maybe a quiet place to write, to even, maybe it's not with a laptop, maybe it's just pen and paper that you're doing it, but have a small spot where you feel comfortable, it's quiet. Now, believe it or not, this is not my room for that. The intention was for it to be the room for that, but in the winter it's a little chilly. So my favorite spot is at the kitchen table, and I've done videos at the kitchen table before. So that's where I normally sit. I have my tea or my water. I have a candle lit. I play classical music. Mozart's really good for this. Mozart and Baroque music, I could be saying that wrong, is supposed to be really good for sparking that creativity. So use something that sparks some creativity in you. If it's not that, maybe you're into the newest hip hop or modern jazz or whatever it is. Nothing wrong with that. Use whatever works for you. Okay, so kind of set your mood there. If you're into crystals, get a crystal out. If you call it angels or call on the Lord, whatever you do to make your spot special, and do that all the time. Set a timer. Don't get bogged down like, oh, this timeline, I need to get this done now. No, this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be healing. So don't push yourself, because you're going to go through some pretty tough times as you start diving into your history. So by all means, please don't push yourself, okay? Go easy. So set a timer. Maybe you only have 5 minutes. Maybe you're not an early bird and don't get up at the crack of dawn. Perhaps something later is fine for you after the family's asleep or after you get out of work. But whatever it is, just set a timer. 5 minutes a day. That's all you need just to go ahead and write. And maybe you would rather challenge yourself by okay, I'm going to do this for 1 page. That's fine. 2 pages, whatever the challenge is, but don't sit too long because you get a little achy after a while. If you are in that mode, because I've had those times, Mr. Awesome, he's like, okay, he sees me writing and I'll be like, yeah, okay, 1 minute, dear. And he's like, I've become a widow. I'm a book widow. So stop. But you get in the zone where you just keep writing and it just flows and everything's all right and the stars are out and they're singing. I'm just kidding. But have you ever been in that flow where everything is just right, and whether it be you're exercising or whether it be like you're cooking, nothing's burning, their smoke detector's not going off. That's my house. Everything seems to be syncing and it's awesome and amazing. So you just keep going and going and going because you've got this momentum going and you don't want to stop. So that's what happens to me sometimes when I start writing. Well, thank you. So what else? So you've got that. So what else do you need? You need a laptop or, again, paper, pen. That's as easy as you need. You don't need to make this difficult. You can get yourself a nice journal like this one right here. I don't know if it's nice to me. It's a little journal that I have gotten. Actually, it is my prayer journal that I use. So it's got little sayings in there, but I know it's really bright. Sorry with the light. But you can use something fancy if you want to get a little nicer. You can also, again, the spiral notebook's really good. Whatever it is that you want to get those thoughts and ideas when you start, that's awesome. Please do that. In addition to that, Dragon. Have you ever heard of Dragon? Dragon is a talk-to-text program. So perhaps you have carpal tunnel. I know I have hand issues every once in a while. Perhaps you have something that limits your mobility in order to type on the computer or laptop. So what you can do is get a program that does the talk to text. You can do your recorder, tape recorder. You can even use your phone. Your phone has some recording, sometimes apps built in already. So that's all you have to do is just talk in it, and maybe you can transcribe it later or have a friend do so. Something really easy like that. Now, as we're going through this, as you're going through your little journey here, I'm not going to call it little, big journey, getting all these thoughts, all of these feelings out on paper, it might sting a little. What I mean by that, you might be digging up some unresolved feelings. And not only that, you may also dig into some thoughts and memories that you totally forgot about. And this is not only for you, but even family members. If you're bringing them into your story and you're discussing the history with them, you might dig up some old bones. This could be harmful for you because it might set you back a little bit. So let's say you already cured yourself of PTSD. Well, you start your journey and this might make you take a few steps back. But that's okay. This is part of the healing process. Be gentle with yourself. I know I said that before, baby steps. Anytime you hit a brick wall where you just feel overwhelmed, or maybe you're done writing for the day, and the next day you wake up and all of a sudden you feel tired, just exhausted. Maybe you have an eye tick. that just starts randomly, your eye starts twitching, or all of a sudden you feel sick, maybe nauseated, perhaps you've got the flu, it just seems to hit you like wham. That is probably because you're digging up a lot of unresolved or resolved feelings that you might have. So again, please go easy on yourself. If you have to talk to a friend about this, talk to a friend, talk to a therapist or counselor, somebody that understands you, somebody that's supportive of you, somebody that you trust, okay? You don't want to tell this to the neighbor 4 doors down that doesn't seem to care or blows you off every few minutes. That's not a friend. You want somebody that you can definitely trust in order to help you process through these emotions, because this is rough. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk away from a few days. You're going to step away from the laptop or your tablet, whatever you're doing. You're going to just step away for a little while, and you'll come back to it when you feel ready. Now, I started my journey blogging, and sometimes I would have to take a break from blogging because it was just so overwhelming, and I just felt such intense feelings. I had to stop. So when I started writing, I went back through a lot of my blogs, and this did cause quite a few nights of not sleeping, of also having some panic attacks, and also some other anxiety feelings too, and eye twitches that I mentioned. Yeah, I'm speaking from experience. So when I tell you these things, when I make these videos, I'm only telling you because I'm coming from my heart with love, and I'm also sharing because this is stuff I went through. So when you're going through this, again, be easy on yourself. Reward yourself. You just did something amazing. You got your first words on paper, and I'm proud of you. This is courageous and very brave to do, to get that story out and to share that with others, that you are writing your story, your life story, and that is something to be proud of. So take yourself out for a meal or binge Netflix, whatever it is that makes you feel good, but reward yourself as you're going through this process. I had shared last night when I was speaking, take $1 or some change, whatever it is, throw it in a jar anytime you make a milestone, and then see what you got saved up later. I think that's just a little bit of fun. It's not like you have to, but something a little fun for you, kind of a reward. Or take the family out, something like that. Now, also join support groups that are local or online. Write, Publish, Sell is a really good one. I know 2 others off the top of my head. I can't remember what they are, but I will share those a little later in the comment section when I remember those. But getting a community of other authors, even if they're not emotionally traumatized or dealing with anything else like that, that's still okay, because there are so many genres. There are so many people out there that are going through the same situation to get their story out, whether it be fiction or nonfiction as well. So you're not alone. You'll have a nice, strong tribe. Again, write.publish.sell. That is the online group that I really love. There's 2 others that I visit regularly, but apparently not that regularly because I don't remember the names off the top of my head. I'm so sorry if you are the moderators from that group and page master and you're looking at this video. I'm sorry, I'm blushing, but I will put that in the comments what those groups are, because those are awesome. They really are. They're additionally awesome. Now, perhaps you are gathering all those thoughts. Now think of, in addition to that, what kind of a spin-off can you do from your book? And what I mean by that is, let's say you got into the history, you dived into the history of your mom. Maybe she gave you permission to tell her story. Okay, that's great. Well, who else? Is there an aunt? Is there an uncle? Is there somebody else in the family that wants their story out too? Can you make a series of books based on your family's history? That's another way, and I'm not just talking about income, but this is another way for you to have, let's face it, some of us need extra income. So getting more ideas, maybe you add a journal to the end of your book, maybe you do book club discussion, something of that nature, in order to get more people viewing your book. And that's what it's all about. You want to get your story out. Well, whatever means you have to use in order to do so, go ahead and do it. Maybe you make a comic book version or a children's version of your story, kind of just water it down enough so kids can understand whatever that was. Maybe it was a homelessness, discussing that. Perhaps it was a loss. And speaking of which, we are going to speak with Natasha this upcoming Saturday about the loss that she has. I am just reading your message there. Yes, exactly. We must strive to know, and exactly. And I love that. Thank you. That is right. I appreciate that. Yes. Now, let's talk a little bit more about, so we've got that. We've addressed it. You're writing. And I don't want you editing during this time. If you can help it, I would say just write the whole thing and then edit it. But that's up to you. You might want to take a chapter at a time and start editing it on your own. Also, during this time, you might be pitching to traditional publishers. You might be finding a hybrid publisher. There's a couple other different types of publishers as well, or you might just go this traditional self-publishing route. Whichever way is for you, start pitching that book now on social media. Start telling the world that, hey, I'm writing my story, because you don't want your book just to sit there on the shelf, even though you've done it. You've hit that publish button at the end, and that's amazing, but you want to get that story out so others can be also captivated, and that you can also share how you overcame, how you had the courage to overcome whatever challenges you went through. You want to share that from the rooftop. So please shout it, shout it, shout it. Now, while you're doing this as well, please, again, turn off any distractions. Social media, I'm terrible with that. I will leave Facebook up, but I also want to make sure I have a small group of ladies that I have on Facebook, and I want to make sure if I don't miss their messages, or my husband, of course, or family. So I do keep Facebook in the background, and sometimes I get a little distracted by that. Pinterest and Instagram are the worst. So I make sure those are off, definitely. Now, in addition to that, now if you get in that funk again, you're going to go ahead and step away, maybe do some deep breathing. During this time, also consider doing some yoga, some meditation, some exercise, eating well, even keeping hydrated. That's going to help you through this process, even if it's not trauma or healing related. This will help for sure. Now, what else? Your music, I told you about that. I've got notes here, so I'm looking at my notes. Again, making sure you keep yourself, marketing yourself. And we can talk about other things later, but as you go along to edit, again, I'm doing a really quick version. These are little Post-it guys. There you go. That's a little bit better. Post-its. And I have the regular kind of Post-its as well. I keep those with me at all times, so when I need to mark a spot that I noticed that there was a boo-boo in or something like that, and also markers too. Markers, highlighters become invaluable. Now, Grammarly is really good for finding those boo-boos and those mistakes. Also Word, Microsoft Word, or maybe you're using Scrivener. I think I'm saying that right. Scrivener as your way of writing down your book. That's another great one too, to find any boo-boos and errors. Maybe you're lucky and you have somebody that's an English major or an English teacher or a professor or something, and you can run your manuscript through that person. That is awesome if you can do that. I think that's amazing. Or maybe you just have a bestie that says, you know what, I'll look at your book. So just add maybe 3 chapters or 2 chapters at a time. Just give them a little bit of the information. If it's a friend, if it's somebody that says, just give me the whole thing, then give it to me. I had given mine to my friend Amanda. I was working at a hotel at the time, and he said, hey, would you look at this for me? Because I couldn't afford a professional editor. And so I said, well, how about like 2 or 3 chapters at a time? 3 was good for her. She's a quick reader. So I would give them to her, and the next time I would see her, she'd be done. And then pretty soon she's like, you know what, just give me the rest. I just need to finish it. Well, that made me feel really good. But, do whatever works for you and your person, okay? Now, the editing process takes a while, and I actually went through, I think, 3 versions of my book before I got it right. At least I think I got it right. It was pretty messy, the first version. Yeah, that was pretty nasty. So I appreciate everybody dealing with the boo-boos and the mistakes, even though I had did the word spell check and so on and had a couple other people look through it. There was still quite a few boo-boos. So I really, really, really appreciate the professional writers that came before me, that those writers that are still out there, still plugging books and whatnot. I have a new appreciation for those people, for editors, because it's hard work. And it takes, I would say, 1 to 2 months to get all those edits done, possibly, and it might be even longer. But for me, it was quite a frustrating time. It really was. It's just when I would think I'd get it right, it's like, oh, I'm all set. So I'd hit the publish button again to republish it, and then I'd have someone message me and say, oh, this is like, oh, no, you caught this on chapter what it is. And it was just, I don't know, but it's good now. I went ahead and tweaked everything. If you hire a professional editor, I think that's amazing if you can do that. There are editors out there. You can go to Fiverr if you want to do this on more of a sliding scale. But you might want to, if when you start doing like your cover art and so on, you might want to find somebody that has experience. You want to ask for references and so on and so on. Now, I went through my friend Brian. Brian is a great photographer, and I knew what I had. I had an image already in my mind for what I wanted my book to look like. Hi, Michelle. And so he has just an eye for that sort of thing. So I had him. I said, this is what I'm looking for. Can you please do this for me? And it came along really good. If you haven't seen my cover already, it's back there. And I didn't bring it up here, but that's okay. He did a great job. He did a great job on my second book. For some reason, the image didn't copy over on Amazon, but that's okay too. That's all right. Yeah, everything's okay. In addition to that, so if you're getting a little down, let's say you're still writing that book, I'm going to use this again. This is there we go, my vision board again. So get a vision board out. This is just a piece of paper. This is just a regular piece of printer paper that I used it on. I cut out magazines, anything inspirational picture. There's my picture. My picture's over there. And whatever was inspirational to me, I put this where I can see it as I'm writing because it just uplifts me if I'm getting a little bit down. Again, I do use affirmations. If you come to my house, you will see these little affirmations posted on my mirror in the bathroom because this is stuff I do use. I still use it every day. I use this one. This one's I'm confident and beautiful inside and out. Sometimes I need that little reminder and a little kick in the butt to say, hey, you got this. So I like to put those all around. So if you're getting a little bit in a funk while you're writing, please do something a little encouraging. Again, get outside, go meditate, go ground yourself, do something for you. Just step away and then get back to it when you have a chance. So I think that's about it. I'm just going to ramble on about that. I didn't want to get too much more into it. There is more for the publishing and so on, but to do your trauma story, just start getting it out. Just write. You can help so many people by sharing your story, and you can do it. You're brave and you're awesome. And I know you can do it. And I believe in you totally. I hope you have a great day, whatever you're doing. I love you. This is Melinda from Hope When There Was None. I will talk to you later. Thank you for watching. Bye.